Welcome to the Be Wise program. Here is where we get our finances in shape. And I found it's just easier to exercise if I have friends, and that's what this is going to be. This is going to be a community where we exercise financially and get our finances in shape. So I'm so glad you're here. We're going to have short lessons every week, and then we'll have exercises that go along with each lesson. And we'll learn kind of like you learn a sport or how you learn how to play the piano, right? You don't just sit and listen to lecture. You learn a little bit and then you do it. And so we're going to start out by talking about how we need a money plan. Now, I grew up around house plans. My dad was into construction, and I'm sure a lot of you have built a house or know someone who's built a house. And a few years ago, my brother-in-law was building a house, and I noticed how detailed the plans were. It was like a book. I mean, the outside showed the house, the picture of the house, but then the inside had each room that had details about that particular area. And I think that we can do this with our money too. You know, plans aren't new to us, especially if you're a member of the Church Jesus Christ that we belong to. We've had plans from the beginning, and as a part of that, we can personalize and we can make it our own. And so with our money, we're going to do kind of what you do with a house plan. You think about what you want the house to do and what you want to spend money on and what you don't want to spend money on. And it actually can be a lot of fun, but we have to make sure that we make a plan that's ours and not a plan that's someone else's. So as we do this, budgeting will be key, because budgeting is our money plan. And a lot of times when we learn how to budget, we make a plan, but then we don't use it. Can you imagine if you made a house plan that you never used? So this is what budgeting looked like when I started. I made a budget. I had a column for that. And then I had a column for my actual expenses. So I would make a budget for food, let's say. It was $500 for the month. And then the actual that I spent was $650. And the reason why is because I never looked at it. So that would be like building a house and not looking at the plans and saying, oh, we need a window here and a door here and a wall here, and just kind of doing whatever I wanted to do. And so I figured out that that wouldn't work anymore. And we're going to figure that out too in this program, that won't work. So the other thing that comes up sometimes with making plans is that they often need to be changed. With house plans, you can change things. I had a friend who wanted a window that was a little bit bigger than it ended up being, and so she was able to change it. But the reason why is because they were involved, they were aware of what was going on, and they were able to make changes. Just like that, we can make changes in our budget if we are involved. And some are minor changes, you know, just like on your house, you might just change the paint color, and that's no big deal at all, you know. But if you're going to knock out a wall, that's a little bit bigger deal. And it's the same thing in our money. If we're going to do little changes that aren't a big deal, that's fine. But if we're going to do big changes, that's kind of a bigger thing. So that's just some things that we need to have in place before we actually start making our money plan. We're going to talk about budgets that work and budgets that don't work. And we're going to go into the details in the next lesson next week, so get ready for that. Now, what if I had a house plan, but then I saw what my friend was doing and just decided to do what she was doing? So today I'll put up a wall, or today I'll do this. It wouldn't work, right? And that's what happens sometimes in our finances. Okay, the next thing that we're going to talk about this week is starting where we are. So we're going to talk about net worth. And it's kind of like a scale. So net worth measures where you're at right now. And we want that to increase. So we have a little formula or recipe, whatever you want to call it, for net worth. So we have our assets. Dave Ramsey gives a definition of assets as stuff that you own. And I love that definition. Assets are the accounting term. And then we have things that we owe, money that we owe. The accounting term for that is liabilities. There's no test, you don't have to know those terms, but what's important is getting to this net worth. So we're going to take our assets minus our liabilities, and that will be our net worth. So I own a house. Just going to give you an example. Let's say my house is worth $250K, and let's say I owe $200 to the bank, so my net worth would be $50K. So this will help you when you go to exercise yourself. I'm just going to kind of show you how to do a quick one. So cars, they're worth $20K. Oh, $12K, net worth of $8. And other things you might have is a retirement account, let's say. 100,000 saved, maybe 5,000 loan against it, so that would give you a net worth of 95 on that one. And then let's say you had cash, so no loan on that. Let's say you just had 5,000, so that's 5 net. And then maybe you have a boat and a business. That's enough for now. Of course, you have little things, you know, clothes, all those little things that you could add in, but we're just keeping track of the big stuff right now. So if you want to keep track of more stuff, that's totally up to you. Just be consistent so that it is consistent over time. So that's 23, and then let's say your business is 50K and you owe, let's say you owe 30, so that would be 20. So then you're just going to add up all those totals. So we have 435. 435 minus 254. And that's going to give us a 181 total. Net worth. So I had a really powerful experience with this a few years ago. Actually, it was about 11 years ago. We decided that we were going to get our emergency fund fully funded, finally. I mean, we had always had savings, but we would save and then empty them, save and empty them. We could never really move on. And so I decided, okay, we're going to do this. And my husband was on board, and we started doing this. And about 3/4 of the way through, I just felt so tired. I wanted to quit. I thought maybe we've done enough because this is just getting too hard, and I was having a hard time pushing through. And a lot of times, you know, racers will run into this where they just want to quit. It's just, it hurts, and it doesn't seem worth it to keep going. And at this time, I felt inspired to look at my net worth statement because I had been keeping track of this number, and I compared it to the year before. And what I would have guessed it was in my head was much lower than it was. The numbers aren't important, but I think I probably guessed our net worth had gone up 10 grand, and it had gone up way more. So all this is addition and subtraction, but it can be so powerful to motivate you to keep going because it shows you that you're headed upward with your net worth, right? We want the opposite of our weight. With our weight, a lot of times we want to go down. But again, like weight, we don't want to put too much value on this because it will fluctuate. House prices go up and down. Right now they're going up, but maybe next year they'll go down, and so that will affect it. So our net worth isn't a straight line, it's more like this. But if you're following these principles in this program, you are going to see your net worth go up over time. And then it's going to be worth the sacrifices and the things that you have to do in the meantime. All right, our last thing that we're going to talk about is what's worth it to you. So we have a 1974 Volkswagen thing. My husband bought this before we were married, and I didn't even know what a thing was. But this is really important to him. He loves Volkswagens, and he wanted a thing for a long time. And so we've had this thing for our whole marriage, and it hasn't run for most of it. And last year I was talking to him about it and asking him if he would rather have a nicer car, a newer car, and he didn't want that. He wanted his thing. So we decided that we were going to fix it up and get it running. It's still a work in progress, but it is running. And I've had a good time. My kids have had a good time. It's been a great thing for our family. I, on the other hand, I value travel. I love experiences. And so I asked my husband if I could spend some money on travel. And over the summer, within 4 months, I was in 7 states. And it was so much fun. But you've got to decide, what is your thing? What do you value? I doubt that very many of you would spend $8,000 fixing up an old Volkswagen that's older than me. But that's what's important to my husband, and that's okay. I always say that you can have anything that you want, but not everything that you want, right? We don't have the time or the money to have everything, but we can have those things that are most important to us. But we have to know what they are. And I know this seems so basic, but that's what this is all about. Small and simple things that make such a huge difference. Let me give you an example. I have a friend who is a party planner. She has a beautiful home and loves to have parties. She has a lot of friends and a lot of family members. And so she built a pool and she built a theater and all these wonderful things so that she can have parties. Well, I don't throw parties ever, so that wouldn't be right for me. And if I was just following her plan, I would do that. Okay, that sounds good, I'll do that. But then it wouldn't be right for me or for my family. We have another friend who loves to go to the jazz, and so he has season jazz tickets. Well, I mean, we enjoy it, but it's not really our thing. And so you can enjoy other people's things. When our friend invites us to go to the jazz, heck yeah, we go and we have so much fun and it's really enjoyable. And you can enjoy other people's priorities and their things, but you don't have to make it your own. So if you ever want a ride in a 1974 Volkswagen thing, come on over. We would be happy to share and happy to let you do that. And so we'll spend some time in the exercises deciding on what's important to you. You know, is it travel? Is it a nice house? What is it that you really want to do? What's worth it to you? I'll be here exercising along the way with you. Good luck. Have a great week.